music arrived, and the people survived as they washed away their fears with their tears. It's when sapiens cry.
Hi, my name's Kindred Surprize, and today I'm joined by Matt and Russ, and we're here to talk about My Other Closet. My Other Closet is a cabaret focused on domestic violence, particularly within LGBTIQA relationships, and the reason that we're here is to not only talk about the cabaret that's coming up, but also to highlight what is actually occurring and hopefully reach out to some people that might need to see this. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Russ, My Other Closet. So this is a personal story of your own in relation to a domestic violence relationship that you had. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about how this came about? Because to actually turn a domestic violence relationship into a cabaret doesn't, it's not something I
Tough gig, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a tough gig. Look, I've been an entertainer. I've been singing for many years. Matthew and I decided that there was a stage where we wanted to put our energy into something that we could do more regularly, and also my own experience of domestic violence just led me to believe that there were so many inadequacies within the system for LGBTI people. So we put our heads together and decided that the best way that we could make people aware of what domestic violence looks like in our relationships was to put a show together.
So for yourself to be able to tap into your own personal journey and then to put that into a performance or a cabaret, which I believe is a one-person show.
Yeah, it's me and my pianist.
He just gets up on stage and plays with his pianist.
Well, it seems fitting. For yourself to actually, when I say the word expose, I don't mean that in a way that you're doing that without intention, but to be able to get up and to allow somebody into your own personal journey and to be able to translate that into a piece. I mean, what does that do for yourself in relation to your own journey and from a therapeutic level?
I think that the areas that we explore in the show mean that from a therapeutic point of view, it can't be therapy. I have to go back into some really dark places during the show, and ultimately, if I wasn't healed, it would be to my own detriment. When I was going through this situation in my own life, I was in the middle of it, and I didn't have any words for it. I want people to have words for this. I want to be able to give a name to this experience for people who don't know what it is.
Well, I think one of the issues that we have is in LGBTIQA plus relationships is the reality is we're not even seen as having a domestic relationship a lot of the time. So therefore to understand that you're in a domestic relationship where there's also violence can be very difficult, and for myself as well, having been a victim to this, is you struggle with the fact that maybe this is the way males interact, and maybe this is okay, when in fact it's not.
Yeah, not at all.
And you know that.
Yeah.
But you don't have the support mechanisms that other people may have to be able to help you through that,
or the words to use.
Yeah.
The words to use.
Well, I mean, so what we know is, even domestic violence in heterosexual cisgender relationships, you think back, maybe even only 40 or 50 years ago, and it was totally acceptable for, people on television to talk about beating their wives. And what's that black and white show? I think it's The Honeymooners. The joke in every show is he's like, one of these days, Alice, smack right in the kisser. Ha 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 ha. And the audience is laughing at that. Yeah. That wouldn't fly anymore. We've had a lot of progress in that space, but Interestingly, when you look at for LGBTI, people, in a way, that kind of heteronormative discussion around men's violence against women, and that being the only kind of intimate partner violence that gets talked about, it actually serves to erase queer experiences, and so some of those same gender trappings that are what feed domestic violence in heterosexual relationships, you see them play out in queer relationships. And so exactly what you talked about, where when it's two men getting violent, then people's general reaction is, and even people in the relationship themselves is, oh, well, boys will be boys. This is just how it is. And then when we have, a lesbian relationship, people will assume, oh, they're just two girls. It can't be that bad, it's a complicated thing. The other thing I would say is that we have this situation where we're lighting the set on fire.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I've been thinking about what's going on over here for a while.
Maybe
they'll just be like,
No, leave them on.
they'll lose continuity.
Yeah,
there's just it's falling
a
off.
few times where some things have fallen off. Wait, sorry. Do you know where we're up to?
Yeah. So one of the other things that we know is particular to LGBTI communities is that we're still in this situation where we think that we need to be having, or some people think we need to be having, a national debate about whether our relationships are legitimate in the same way that a cisgendered heterosexual one is. So, but I think, and so that filters into the victim experience as well. And there's a pressure to be perfect. And you've already kind of, especially if you've had a life journey of, coming out and having that be something that you had to prove. No, I'm not mentally ill. No, I'm not, going to hell. No, this is a good thing for me. And then if those relationships turn toxic, it's very hard for a person to come out again out of their second closet and say, well, actually, no, just like heterosexual people, sometimes our relationships are toxic.
And so, Russ, tell us a little bit about your own personal journey. So have you always been out of the initial closet, should I say?
No. Look, I got married in the 80s. I have 3 children. I actually have a granddaughter.
Yay.
Congratulations. And this was my first gay relationship outside that marriage. Reality was that I was probably still pretty vulnerable and a little bit naive when I entered into this one, and very much a Prince Charming. But over a period of time, the dynamic of that relationship changed fairly substantially, and it was very much a power thing.
How soon into that relationship did this start?
It pretty much started probably 6. I think I got my first broken nose 6 months in.
Interesting. And it's when I say interesting, I guess what's interesting, and also knowing this from within myself, is that a lot of people question why you would stay in a relationship for that long.
It's a very valid question.
Isn't it?
Yeah,
because it's something I couldn't answer to a lot of people when they would ask me. I'd be like, well, I don't know, I loved him.
Yeah.
He was everything.
And I totally think that with all the messages that go out there, the one thing that is never actually really discussed is that you do love them, and it doesn't start on day one. They're not like this on day one, and if they were, you wouldn't enter that relationship.
And would you get the whole, I'm really sorry?
Every time.
Yeah. And then
Every time. It'll never happen again.
I need to protect them, I need to look after them.
Yeah.
I need to help this person.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're the one there with the broken bone.
Who's the strong one? Who's the strong one in those relationships?
Yeah.
Well, it's a question that people really need to think about, because you're the one that is actually trying to hold this whole thing together.
I mean, and the situation's changed a lot here in Victoria. There's been some services like Queerspace and VAC both doing work in this space for a while, but sort of siloed off. And, the way that people found their way into those services was, through community. So, I mean, luckily with the Royal Commission that happened, I think a year and a half, 2 years ago now, it really just really changed the situation, because for the first time the government has clear evidence, it's in the recommendations of the Royal Commission that all these services have to become LGBTI inclusive, that they have to be able to provide good referral services. And so, the game's really changing in Victoria, and it's actually quite exciting because it's not, we're very soon going to be ahead of most of the rest of the world, which is quite amazing.
Yeah.
So
in some regard,
Yeah.
ahead in some regard.
yeah, interesting when you
They're
have
still-
that
they're
happening,
still
and then you
different.
have
Yeah, exactly.
we're gonna have a plebiscite still, maybe.
Yeah, but still, I would
Yeah.
recognise, but I still see it as a win.
Can I just say, Kindred,
Yes.
as well, that we spend a lot of time talking about the victim. The reality is that both people in those relationships are in an unhealthy relationship, and so the perpetrator of the violence is also someone who they shouldn't be shunned. They need help as well. And I just think it's really important that we acknowledge that it's a two-way street there.
So my other closet,
Yes.
it was a sellout in Sydney
Yeah.
in 2014.
2014. Yeah.
2014. So you've reworked the show.
It's basically the same show, but it has been reworked.
And the show, you bring it to Melbourne.
Yes, yeah, we're bringing it to Melbourne, and it is. I got to admit, it is very much more like the show that I wanted to do when we first put it together.
Yeah.
So it is hard hitting. Don't come to the show and think that it's all doom and gloom, because it's not. Ultimately, it's the story of a survivor, not the story of a victim. And so people are laughing and smiling and having a really nice time at the end of the show when they walk out.
Yeah.
Mind you, I've taken them on a journey.
I saw just a moment of it, and I was welling up, and I think I only saw about 12 seconds. So, I feel that if you really want to connect to something, this is a human life experience being portrayed in a cabaret. Also, there's a reference that I've seen in relation to the show where it says shining a light on the darkest side of the rainbow.
Absolutely,
The dark
yeah.
side of the rainbow.
Yeah.
Which I think is really beautiful. So I want to thank you for actually having the courage as a survivor to be able to come out and to be able to deliver that in a way that connects to people. Okay, so Russ, Matt, how can people come and just look into your other closet?
The show is on between the 15th and the 28th of July in Melbourne at the Ballet Union, which is a theatre, an amazing theatre.
At Trades Hall?
Inside
Yeah,
Trades
inside Trades
Hall,
Hall, yeah.
They can get tickets at www.myotherclosetthecabaret.com.
We'll pop that in the video as well so that
Yeah.
you can find that.
We've sold out 2 shows already.
Amazing.
Which I'm really pleased about.
Yeah.
So tickets are selling really well. I would hate people to be disappointed. So they should probably get their tickets early, because I just know from our experience in Sydney, they went crazy. So get in early. Get in early.
So grab your tickets, come along, support the show, support one another, support perhaps somebody that maybe needs to come along to this show because it's brought up something within themselves. And in saying that, if any of this interview itself has brought up anything for yourself, for your own personal reasons, or perhaps because you've got friends in situations where it's triggered something within yourself, then please also look at the links underneath the video, and also what we'll put in the credits so that you can seek out and speak to somebody as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kindred.
I'm looking forward to opening night 15th
15.
of July. I'll be there.
Kindred will be there.
I'll be there. And thank you so much for being a survivor. And thank you so much for reminding people like myself that I am also a survivor. And we can all get through this. We just need to support one another and continue to do things like this so that we know that we've got each other.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kindred.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your lies.